Happening tonight in Dolton, village officials there are planning to hold two separate meetings.
So for months, Mayor Tiffany Henyard has been at the center of scandals and lawsuits. Our Regina Waldrop is joining us live with some of the details. Regina, you've been covering this story for months. This could be a confusing night for residents with these dueling meetings.
It could, Alex, because we have Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard set to hold a village board meeting here at Village Hall. That's happening at 6:30.
Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard finds herself at the center of a political storm, facing serious allegations of corruption and abuse of power. Once a prominent figure in local politics, she now finds herself in the public eye for reasons far removed from her previous public service achievements. In a shocking twist, her boyfriend, someone many did not expect to play a major role in this controversy, has reportedly exposed her in court, leading to a tense and dramatic courtroom scene. Tiffany Henyard, who made history as the first female mayor of Dolton, Illinois, has been no stranger to controversy since her election. Critics have often accused her of mismanagement, ethical violations, and adopting an autocratic style of governance. However, these recent accusations have escalated, with claims that Henyard engaged in corrupt practices to benefit herself, her inner circle, and certain local businesses.
A court judge recently blocked appointments by Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard to key village posts. The judge, siding with 4 trustees, they contended the appointments of Ronnie Birch Sr. as police chief, Angela Lockett as village attorney, and Michael Smith as village administrator were illegal because the village board didn't vote on them, and the judge agreed.
Tiffany Henyard, once a rising star in local politics and the first female mayor of Dolton, now finds herself mired in a deep political scandal that threatens to end her career. Allegations of bribery, financial mismanagement, and manipulation of public funds have emerged, casting a dark shadow over her time in office. Henyard, who once enjoyed widespread support as a trailblazer, now faces widespread scrutiny as details of alleged corruption unfold in a courtroom. The accusations against her suggest that she may have used her office for personal gain, with claims that she diverted public funds for private use, awarded contracts to friends and family without oversight, and accepted bribes from local contractors and developers in exchange for favorable treatment. The most shocking turn in this unfolding drama came when Henyard's romantic partner, a figure long by her side, became a central player in the case. In a stunning move, he took the stand in court and delivered testimony that incriminated Henyard, providing evidence that painted a picture of widespread misconduct. His testimony reportedly included details about personal financial transactions, private conversations, and questionable decisions made during Henyard's tenure as mayor. According to court documents, Henyard's boyfriend revealed that she had diverted municipal funds for personal luxuries, including extravagant vacations, personal purchases, and other non-governmental expenses. His revelations also highlighted how Henyard allegedly awarded lucrative contracts to businesses owned by her friends and family members, circumventing local procurement laws and ethical standards. Perhaps the most damaging part of his testimony involved claims that Henyard accepted bribes from local developers and contractors. These developers, it is alleged, paid Henyard in exchange for favorable municipal decisions, putting their own interests above those of Dolton's residents. The courtroom scene during this testimony was reportedly tense, with witnesses describing Henyard's visible stress as the revelations unfolded. At one point, Henyard erupted into a furious outburst, shouting at her boyfriend and interrupting the proceedings. This emotional reaction drew significant media attention, with many speculating that her visible anger was a sign of guilt. The outburst also fueled widespread public outrage, with social media lighting up in criticism of the mayor's behavior and demands for her resignation growing louder. The allegations of corruption have had a profound effect on the community, with many Dolton residents expressing feelings of betrayal. Henyard had promised to bring change and transparency to local government, but the emerging details of her alleged misconduct have left the public disillusioned. Citizens are demanding greater accountability from their elected officials, and many have called for an immediate investigation into Henyard's conduct. Political observers have noted that this scandal could have lasting consequences for Dolton, potentially leading to a major political shakeup. If Henyard is found guilty, it is likely that the town will face a leadership crisis, with calls for an early election or the appointment of an interim mayor to restore public confidence. Even within Dolton's political structure, the fallout has been significant. Several members of the Dolton City Council have distanced themselves from Henyard, with some publicly calling for her to step down until the legal proceedings are resolved. These council members argue that Henyard's continued presence in office, while facing such serious allegations, undermines the integrity of the local government. Some of her closest political allies, once staunch defenders, have also struggled to support her in the wake of these revelations. The political landscape in Dolton has been shaken, with many unsure of what the future holds for the town's leadership. Despite the mounting evidence against her, Henyard and her legal team have consistently denied the allegations, framing them as politically motivated attacks orchestrated by her rivals. They argue that the timing of the accusations, just months before a major election, is no coincidence, and that Henyard's opponents are using these claims to undermine her campaign. Henyard's supporters have echoed this defense, pointing out that political scandals often emerge close to elections and urging the public not to rush to judgment. They argue that Henyard deserves a fair trial and that the court of public opinion should not convict her before all the facts are presented. However, the damage to Henyard's public image may already be done. The scandal has cast a long shadow over her political career, and even if she is eventually exonerated, the trust between her and Dolton's residents has been severely eroded. Social media has been ablaze with criticism, with many calling for Henyard's immediate resignation. The once prominent mayor now finds herself fighting not only to clear her name, but also to salvage what remains of her political career. Her boyfriend's testimony has not only delivered a devastating blow to her defense, but has also shattered the perception of loyalty within her inner circle. What was once seen as a unified team now appears fractured, with betrayal and mistrust looming over Henyard's camp. As the court case continues, the stakes for Henyard could not be higher. If she is found guilty of the corruption charges, she could face not only the end of her political career, but also possible legal consequences. Moreover, the allegations of financial mismanagement raise serious concerns about the town's economic stability. Many wonder how far-reaching the misuse of public funds may have been, and whether Dolton's financial health has been compromised as a result of Henyard's alleged actions. In the coming weeks, the court will hear more testimony, and there is speculation that further damaging evidence may emerge. As the legal proceedings unfold, one question remains on everyone's mind. Will Tiffany Henyard survive this political scandal, or is her time as Dolton's mayor coming to an end?
Henyard has been hit with an eviction lawsuit. NBC5 has obtained a copy of an eviction notice filed in Cook County Court. It names Henyard and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, who is a Thornton Township employee.
It looks like the feds are getting serious. They've made it clear that if Tiffany Henyard doesn't cooperate, they'll just turn everyone close to her against her. And it's working. Rumors are flying that Tiffany's baby daddy is now in custody, spilling all the tea on her shady dealings. This investigation has exposed just how deep the corruption runs within Tiffany's inner circle, with almost everyone around her tangled up in federal fraud and theft cases. It's a wild situation, and apparently, it didn't take much for her baby daddy to throw her under the bus. But honestly, who can blame him? Someone has to look out for their child, especially if Tiffany is looking at serious jail time. So, how exactly does her baby daddy fit into all this? And why is he being targeted? Let's break it down. Tiffany had managed to stay under the radar for so long because she surrounded herself with equally shady characters, creating a squad of scapegoats to protect herself. As the mayor of Dolton, she orchestrated a series of dubious activities, but everything came crashing down when she suddenly vanished, leaving everyone questioning her whereabouts. Rumor has it that she was trying to lay low, hoping the investigation would die down before she returned as if nothing had happened. Tiffany's confidence in being untouchable stemmed from her belief that she had enough people willing to take the fall for her. She underestimated the feds, though. One by one, her associates started turning against her, and soon she found herself running out of people to hide behind. Even her boyfriend couldn't be counted on. He didn't hesitate to betray her when he realized he might end up in a prison cell himself. He quickly spilled everything, singing like a canary. For those unaware, Tiffany's boyfriend is Kamal Woods, and he's been involved in some shady dealings as well. In her divorce documents, he's named as her boyfriend, but his influence goes far beyond their personal relationship. It seems unlikely that Tiffany would appoint him to significant positions without some ulterior motive. She made him the director of her cancer foundation, a move that raises serious questions about his qualifications and the legitimacy of the foundation itself. The foundation, supposedly established to support breast cancer patients, appears to be nothing more than a public relations stunt designed to boost Tiffany's image. On the very first day of its official launch, the foundation received a $110,000 donation from the people of Dolton. However, this donation wasn't authorized by the residents. It was Tiffany's decision to funnel taxpayer money into her personal project. It didn't stop there. She even misused township funds to finance a trip outside Dolton to promote the foundation. The expenses for the trip were shocking. From the trucks and bicycles in the parade to the DJ, photographer, drones, meals, and hotel rooms, everything was funded by the hard-earned money of the community. As the foundation gained momentum, Tiffany continued to dip into public resources to sustain it. Reports indicate that the foundation's staff, including her boyfriend Kamal, were being paid with taxpayer money. It's a clear case of misappropriation of funds, and it only gets worse. Not only did Tiffany make Kamal the director of her foundation and pay him with funds that weren't hers to begin with, but she also secured him a well-paying side job at Thornton Township. His salary there exceeds $100,000, money that most Dolton residents haven't seen in years. While the people of Dolton struggle to make ends meet, Kamal has been living large, thanks to his connections with Tiffany. This scandal highlights just how deep the corruption runs in Tiffany's circle, and now that the feds are involved, the walls are closing in on her. As more people close to her are turned against her, it's becoming clear that Tiffany can no longer evade accountability. Whether it's her boyfriend, her political allies, or her inner circle, everyone seems ready to save themselves at her expense. The question now is not if Tiffany will face justice, but how severe the consequences will be for her and those around her.
The couple has been renting a house in Dolton for the last 3 years. Henyard's attorney says the claim has not been brought in good faith and he does not believe there is proof of misuse.
The event was proceeding without a hitch until the feds dropped a bombshell. Tiffany Henyard had been served with a subpoena demanding exhaustive records from all her business ventures. To make matters worse, Kamal, her boyfriend, was implicated in the investigation. Reports reveal that Tiffany faced 2 subpoenas. The first targeted her private enterprises, including her restaurant and property management firm, both of which were already shrouded in controversy. Allegedly, Tiffany had a history of cutting corners and disregarding the impact on her clients. The spotlight first turned to her in 2019, when one of her tenants was displaced due to severe mold and persistent leaks in one of her properties. The FBI's request for records from her political fund and charitable foundation was an attempt to uncover the full extent of her questionable business practices. But this was just the beginning. As the investigation deepened, more individuals stepped forward to expose Tiffany's actions. Given the turmoil her administration had faced since its inception, this scrutiny was almost inevitable. Barely 6 months after becoming supervisor of Thornton Township, Tiffany found herself at odds with her so-called dream team, a group of candidates she helped get elected to trustee and village clerk positions. Kiana Belcher and Jason House secured the trustee roles, while Allison Key was elected village clerk. However, what was meant to be a solid team quickly unraveled into what some now call a nightmare. Members of her dream team soon began publicly criticizing her for her questionable dealings. Tiffany entered her township role expecting those around her to fall in line, acting as her puppets, and allowing her to govern without constraints. However, just 6 months into her tenure, the community began to push back. Many accused her of mismanaging funds and running a poorly transparent administration. By 2022, the frustration had reached a tipping point. Residents, fed up with Tiffany's apparent lack of accountability, supported the trustees who joined forces with the village board to file a lawsuit against her, citing major conflicts of interest. Tiffany didn't take this lying down. She fought back, claiming her critics were merely trying to sabotage her efforts to revitalize Dolton. She even went as far as locking the trustees out of their offices, but they weren't intimidated. The trustees were determined to see her ousted and began conducting meetings in her absence. You might think the trustees were overstepping, but many residents felt their frustration was justified. Dolton was dealing with serious issues like crumbling roads, deteriorating houses, and an underfunded local police force. Yet Tiffany seemed fixated on extravagant expenditures like billboards, first-class trips, luxurious hotel stays at places like the Four Seasons, DJs, photographers, and a personal security squad. The list of unnecessary expenses went on. Before Tiffany took office, Dolton thrived on community spirit, with initiatives focused on unity and collective progress. However, under her leadership, everything seemed to revolve around promoting Tiffany herself. Events that didn't serve to bolster her public image were either ignored or canceled. One prime example was a beloved annual community event organized by a local resident. Despite its long-standing tradition, Tiffany denied the group a permit to use the public park where it had always been held. Her reasoning? She didn't want the event to conflict with her own, which was scheduled just a few miles away. In a dramatic and spiteful move, she even had massive cement blocks placed at the park's entrance to prevent anyone from using it. Tiffany's disregard for community interests in favor of self-promotion angered residents who had grown tired of seeing their town's resources misused for her personal gain. What once was a town united around common goals had become a stage for one woman's ambitions. With this growing list of controversies and allegations, it became clear that Tiffany had created an atmosphere where her political career and personal enrichment came first, with Dolton's well-being a distant second. The subpoenas demanding records from her private businesses, charitable foundation, and political funds were just the latest in a series of legal challenges that now threaten to dismantle her carefully constructed image. More people are stepping forward, eager to shed light on her shady dealings, and as they do, Tiffany's grip on power seems to be loosening. The dream team that once seemed poised to back her every move has turned against her, and residents are calling for greater transparency and accountability. The legal battle may just be getting started, but with mounting criticism and public pressure, Tiffany's future as a political figure looks increasingly uncertain. As the investigation continues, it's only a matter of time before we learn just how deep this scandal goes and whether Tiffany can survive the storm she's created.
Now, trustee Carmen Carlisle says after trusting Henyard and remaining silent, she will be a whistleblower against Henyard.
Can you believe someone would cancel a community event just to promote their own? It sounds outrageous, but this is just one of the many questionable actions taken by Tiffany Henyard. Given her history, it's no wonder that the trustees and her inner circle are turning against her. Recently, trustee Carmen Carrillo stepped forward to expose Tiffany's behavior. In her statement, Carrillo revealed that for the past 2 years, Henyard has manipulated employees, vendors, and residents to bolster her influence, all while maintaining a facade of success funded by hardworking taxpayers from Thornton Township and Dolton. Henyard has shown a blatant disregard for accountability or the consequences of her actions on the community. However, Tiffany is fighting back, insisting that she has always acted in the best interest of Dolton. She also claims that her right-hand man, Keith Freeman, should shoulder the blame instead. Interestingly, Freeman is currently facing fraud charges from a separate FBI investigation, raising more significant questions about Henyard's leadership. Tiffany Henyard finds herself in an increasingly precarious position, feeling as though she is under siege. After the FBI issued subpoenas to both the village and township earlier this year, Henyard hired criminal defense attorney Bo Brindley, who has since attributed much of the turmoil to Freeman. Despite everything, some supporters in Dolton remain loyal to Tiffany. They argue that she's made politics more engaging and accessible, countering claims that she's as problematic as her critics portray. Each time Tiffany posts on social media, her posts attract massive attention, almost like she's become a celebrity in her own right. But even that attention doesn't stop the wave of criticism. One critic remarked that if Tiffany avoids prison, despite her blatant actions and the numerous calls for accountability, it would indicate a complete lack of justice in Illinois. Another critic expressed frustration, stating that the ongoing investigation feels absurd and is an affront to the very citizens who believe she should already be behind bars. Tiffany Henyard's time as mayor of Dolton has been filled with controversy, but the current allegations of corruption and financial mismanagement have pushed her political career to the edge. The involvement of her romantic partner, Kamal Woods, as a key figure in the investigation adds a personal betrayal angle, further complicating the narrative and casting a shadow over her defense. What began as accusations of mismanagement has now escalated into claims of embezzlement, bribery, and the diversion of public funds for personal and political gain. In the courtroom, the drama has only intensified. Woods' testimony paints a picture of systemic corruption, with Henyard allegedly exploiting her position for personal enrichment. Public perception of Tiffany has worsened, especially after an emotional outburst in court, which suggested desperation and highlighted the collapse of her once tight inner circle. This has severely damaged her credibility, both within the town and among her closest allies. The situation has become even more complicated as several members of the Dolton City Council have distanced themselves from Henyard. Meanwhile, the wider public has expressed outrage. The combination of federal subpoenas, testimony implicating both Henyard and her boyfriend in fraudulent activities, and accusations of misusing taxpayer money for personal endeavors has sparked a widespread call for transparency, accountability, and leadership change in Dolton. Henyard's defense, that these accusations are politically motivated, has been significantly weakened by the mounting evidence against her and the direct involvement of her boyfriend in the alleged corruption. Tiffany Henyard's political future looks increasingly uncertain as she faces a federal investigation, public outrage, and legal challenges that could dismantle her career. The allegations of financial mismanagement, coupled with the betrayal by a close confidant, have plunged her administration into chaos. While Henyard continues to maintain her innocence, her erratic behavior in court and the growing evidence make it unlikely that she will be able to regain the trust of her constituents. This scandal not only threatens Tiffany's leadership, but also casts a long shadow over the integrity of Dolton's local government. Whether she is found guilty or not, the fallout from this case will likely lead to significant political upheaval. A change in leadership and reforms aimed at restoring trust in the town's governance could be on the horizon. Ultimately, Henyard's time as mayor may be remembered more for controversy and scandal than for any achievements she hoped to accomplish. That's all for today's video. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next one.